That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Tuesday Rant with Crusty Canuck, episode 238, 24 October 2023. Topics tonight will be universal basic income, Libs and NDP cancel inquiry to the SNC Lavalin ethics probe, and apparently no more prayers for our troops and Remembrance Day, and some Grill Guide info. All that and more are coming up on the podcast this Tuesday Rant. Listener and viewer discretion is advised because I swear and smoke cigarettes. See you in a bit. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 238, the Tuesday Rant with yours truly, Crusty Canuck. 24 October. That's is right. Universal basic income, Libs, NDP canceling inquiry to the SNC Lavalin ethics issue, and no more prayers. Welcome, one and all. I am your host, Crusty Canuck, on this beautiful evening. Pardon my tardiness. I would have had an episode up for you earlier. However, I had some more housework to do. You know how that works out, domestic bliss, all that good stuff. Yeah. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so it's in recent news today. There has been an issue with, what's been going on with the Liberals and the NDP, right? I guess today they had an inquiry, or was it yesterday? I'm not sure, but I got some links to discuss it nonetheless. They basically had an in committee, and Liberals and NDP and Conservatives sitting there trying to discuss what was going on with SNC Lavalin. Now, to summarize for everyone who hasn't really paid attention or who just doesn't care, that's understandable. Basically, the Conservatives wanted to find out what was going on. The opposition wanted to find out what was going on with information in SNC Lavalin and ethics and breach of contracts and basically breaking the law. And apparently they cut the meeting short because they all voted to say, no, we're not going to do this, because they brought in the acting RSMP commissioner and his desk sergeant with information, and they just stopped the inquiry altogether. So basically, to summarize it, they have done nothing but sit and wait until the storm rolls over. I don't know. Tactically speaking, they've stalled and they've lied, basically. So I'll have some articles here I will read along with you, or read along for you, and I'll put it in my description. All that good stuff too. And if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe, share this content all of your social media platforms. Help us Canadians get our words out there too. And you can find me on Podbean, Rumble, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Player FM if you're so inclined. Check out my podcast too. Anyhow, carrying on with this rant for this week. Let's say universal income. Like I mentioned, Libs, NDP canceling inquiry to SNC Lavalin, and no more prayers too. So carrying on more with the Liberals and the NDP. Now, we've known they're in cahoots. We know Jagmeet Singh is backing up Justin and everything too. And we can all say that it's just basically to cover their asses and save their jobs. As we're seeing the popularity appear probably have going through the roof as we speak. They're projecting that about 205 seats might be up for grabs come next federal election. Who knows? That's assuming that they're going to have a federal election come the spring. One could wish, one could wait. Who knows? Time will tell. But everything that the Liberal Party has done since 2015 in regards to SNC Lavalin, in regards to the infrastructure banks, in regards to how they treated veterans, in regards to the $10.5 million they gave to Omar Khadir, and other buffoonery and other actions, it's getting really, really hard to trust this government with anything at all whatsoever. It doesn't matter. I personally don't care where you sit on the fence, ladies and gentlemen. I personally don't care where you sit on the fence if you're a conservative or if you're liberal or if you're an NDP backer. My concern is that we don't have enough Canadians really, really rooting for democracy in this country anymore, too. There's a lot of people still pulling favor with the Liberal and NDP brand because they believe in progress and they believe in all these wonderful things that's going to help us all in the name of humanity. And what's it done? It's robbed us blind. Okay, look how much debt we have in this country right now because the government wants to spend. And yet how much of that has been spent on Canadians? How much? How much money has been spent on making sure that our products and our produce and our resources get to market? Right? Now, as mentioned in the last episode, ladies and gentlemen, C-69 was deemed unconstitutional, and it's still in the works. So, of course, the feds on their side are going to sit there and wait and try to find more and more ways to stifle our progress, all in the name of green technology and green and saving the world at Canada's expense because, oh, we can afford it. Sure, we can, right? Yeah, no, we cannot. Okay. Now, I just, when we watch the footage, and I don't have any videos, I will queue up a video later for you, Saul. A good, another broadcaster by the name of, I had it here queued up already. I had to reboot everything. I don't know. Technical issues. Anyway, I'll put a video up there later in regards to the SNC issue. But it's just basically the RCMP had information. They weren't allowed to say it at committee, and they shut the meeting down. Right? So it's more than obvious that the Liberal Party and whoever's in cahoots with the Liberal Party have a lot to hide from the general public. Now, we have seen our Prime Minister and his office and his buddies and his backers sit there and more or less act like they don't have to tell us anything. Now, I'm all in tune with government secrets when it comes to actually keeping things secure in this country and keeping things alive and keeping things, on the straight and narrow. But bullshit is bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen it. They promote it to the best of their ability. They promote it to the best of their ability. When they just want to stifle the in committee, just call it quits. Well, we have this information, but no, we're not going to share it with you right now. We're just going to play the part and filibuster and play along for your entertainment. They tend to forget that they're representing the Canadian people and they work for the Canadian people. But, like I've said before, no democracy is perfect, but they're blatantly trying to look like they're the innocent mofos here when you and I both know that they're not, and they really don't give a shit. They're covering their tracks. So I think they realize that the Liberal brand, their days are numbered, and they're going to go after the dogs. It's that simple. And I can't wait to see that happen.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Tuesday Rant with Crusty Canuck, episode 238. Tonight's topics for this 24th of October: Universal Basic Income, Libs, NDP canceling inquiry, SNC and ethics breaches and what have you, and no more prayers. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Now, I'm not going to dwell on this whole Liberal NDP coalition thing, what have you. I'm not going to dwell on it at all. I'm so fed up with it, right? I'll read along here with this article. In regards to what's been going on with this bullshit per se. It's just it's just pitiful. It's another pitiful display of arrogance brought to us by our elected officials, brought to us by people that we're supposed to trust, people we're supposed to count on, what have you. And I'll just read along here too. I'll get this on the go here for you. Yes, this is from the National Post. This was published yesterday. So Conservative MP Michael Barrett said the situation was not acceptable. Liberals shut down meeting to question RCMP commissioner on the SNC Lavalin probe. So Ottawa, in an unexpected move, the Liberals shut down a parliamentary committee that was about to hear from top RCMP officials and on why it did not pursue a criminal investigation of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's actions in relation to the SNC Lavalin affair. At the start of the meeting on Monday, Liberal MP Mona Fortier took the floor to complain that members of the Parliamentary Committee on Ethics had only learned late Friday afternoon that it was switching gears from its study on TikTok and would instead hear from the RCMP. Well, now they're starting to be professional, but they got scared. All righty, here we go. RCMP Commissioner Michael Duhaime and Sergeant Frederick Pinnocence, part of my pronunciation, who was in charge of the investigation into SNC Lavalin, were scheduled to offer a briefing session on the matter after questions arose in the documents released last week by the group Democracy Watch that shed light on the federal police force's decision to shut down the investigation after 4 years. Now, they've been probing this since 2019, ladies and gentlemen, so it's not really anything new, but these new actions are. Fortier mentioned that any charges to the schedule of a committee usually require a 48-hour notice period and said the move to invite the RCMP officials was made at the last minute. Oh, this has not been discussed whatsoever by the committee. I think the committee should have at least the opportunity to debate a motion and to present it in due form, she said, before moving a motion to adjourn the meeting, resulting in a shouting match from both sides. Conservative MP Michael Barrett said the government MPs were looking to shut down a hearing on a very serious matter with respect to a criminal investigation into the Prime Minister, and said the situation was not acceptable. So basically, they played. They just played. They didn't really give a shit about. They didn't really care. Self-explanatory. I'll leave that link in the description, ladies and gentlemen, for you to read at your own time to come up with your own decision. If you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe. Share this content on all of your social media platforms too. I will leave a video link there too from a wonderful individual. I don't have his information right now. I'll get that momentarily. I'm sorry, I'm kind of unprepared for tonight's video. It's been just rush to get things done. However, we will persevere. Back there, ladies and gentlemen, sort of a little pause there too. I had to keep a video. This comes from a guy who does his own video series on YouTube. Nice fella. Had a little chat with him there earlier. It's called Radio Reaction, and this is his assessment on the whole issue. So pay attention carefully to what has been said, and I'll just cue this up here for you. It's just really interesting how this has worked. Just a lot of the BS that has been coming out of our federal government. Really, like you can tell the past couple of years, they have been, just squandering, wasting time, wasting effort. So adjust your volume accordingly, ladies and gentlemen, and just listen to this fine gentleman, his channel. I'll leave a link to his video here and his channel there too. Really informative and just a really good assessment. Never mind the fact that he's in his car. That doesn't matter. It's just a really good assessment on what he saw and what he understands of the whole situation. So give him a chance. Check him out.
Why Trudeau never got prosecuted for the SNC Lavalin affair. It was an open and shut case. All they needed to do was get the documents, read through them all, and there it was. The prosecution, guilty, allegedly. Allegedly. If you're watching, Justin, I said allegedly. So did the RCMP just give up?
Police have, in Canada at least, limited authority on what they can do with the so-called executive, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. And sometimes they can't, and it's actually enshrined in the Canada Evidence Act. Wow. They can't force Cabinet to show them documents they want to look at for a possible criminal investigation, as in this case with the SNC Lavalin scandal. In the United States, they've got executive privilege, and a president can assert that. Donald Trump's asserted that on some of the documents around his presidency, and so have some of his predecessors. But that gets tested in court. And the thing that's troubling here is the RCMP didn't say, okay, well, sorry, Mr. Trudeau, but we need to look at those documents to see if you committed a crime. We're going to take you to court. That didn't happen here. They just kind of packed up their bag and left.
Well, most politicians, especially if it was a conservative politician, it would end the career instantly. It would end it. Changing laws to make things work better for you is not the way we're supposed to run Canada.
You and I, if we were to phone up, somebody in the RCMP or a Crown prosecutor and try and influence an investigation they were doing or a prosecution they were commencing, we'd go to jail. You're not allowed to do that. And that, to refresh everybody's memories, that's what the SNC Lavalin scandal was all about. In 2018, the SNC Lavalin engineering firm was facing a massive, biggest in Canadian history, corruption prosecution. And no less than 44 times, 11 different people in the Prime Minister's office or around the Prime Minister's office, including the Prime Minister, tried to influence Jody Wilson-Raybould. Jody was the Attorney General back then, and she had power, authority over the prosecution of SNC Lavalin. And she kept saying to them, stop talking to me about this. You're not supposed to be talking to me about prosecutions. And they kept doing it. In the United States, people go to jail for doing stuff like that. In Canada, these guys got away with it.
This whole SNC Lavalin thing undermines Canada's rule of law. If you can just go around changing laws to suit the corrupt government, what's the point? It's like a banana republic.
And it undermines democracy too. That's what happens in the third world. People in power telling prosecutors and judges and police what they can and should do. That's what they do in banana republics. That's not supposed to be happening here. But it happened in the year 2018 in Canada. And, you know, the RCMP, I'll give them some credit, obviously realized there was a big problem. It looked like there had been obstruction of justice. They spent a lot of time investigating it, but they hit a roadblock. They needed access to the cabinet documents showing the discussion of the SNC Lavalin issue. And Trudeau said, no, you can't have them. He said no to the police, and that's what ended the police investigation.
This whole thing just shows that there is no accountability in Canada. No accountability with the RCMP, no accountability with the government. Trudeau, again, got away with this one, gets away with everything. Mr. Teflon, blackface, just he should be prosecuted for this. It should have been, but what can you do when the government make up laws that make it impossible to prosecute them for breaking laws? It's crazy. I can't believe we're even talking about this. It should have been a proper inquest into this whole affair. He got rid of Raybould. He won't show any of the evidence to the RCMP, and all they can do is say, okay, you're the big boss, you pay our wages, what can I do? No, we pay their wages. They should be looking into it. No, not happy. Till next time. Have you ever wondered why Trudeau never got prosecuted for the SNC Lavalin affair? It was an open.
And that was radio reaction there too, sort of a little technical issue there. But you see his point, right? You see where he's coming from. And he's not just a citizen journalist, he's a concerned citizen too, like you should be, like we all should be, in regards to this buffoonery that's bestowed on us in our parliamentary system. Right back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Back at the Crusty Podcast, the Tuesday Rant with your host, Crusty Canuck, episode 238 on the 24th of October. Universal Basic Income, Libs NDP cancel inquiry to SNC, and no more prayers. So there's some rumblings about universal basic income. So I'll just summarize it. It's basically a glorified welfare payment brought to you by the federal government in lieu of actually working. Now, I get a pension every month, but I've earned it. And there's a lot of the people I've worked with and served with who get a pension because they've earned it. They've done 10 years, 20 years, 25, in some cases, 30 years of service to our country, and they deserve the pension. People who work until they're 65 years old, as far as I'm concerned, get a pension too, because we all pay into it, ladies and gentlemen. But this UBI has basically been going around because it's a polite way of saying, here, we'll look after you. Here, we'll make you more reliant on us. Here, take this. Now, people forget too that they say UBI is a good thing because it helps the less fortunate out there. Yes. But how many more less fortunates do we have now the past 5 years than we did, let's say, 15 years ago? Compared to our inflation, compared to the taxes that have gone up, compared to everything else that has been thrown in our laps and thrown in our faces since this government's been elected. Now, I don't mind giving people a hand who need it, as long as they're willing to help themselves, to pull themselves up too. There's nothing wrong with anybody going around trying to get something done to better their lives. But when you look at something like UBI, it basically means a government reliance, kind of like what they had with the CERB and CEBA payments during the pandemic. People relied on it, but a lot of people got paid the CEBA because they didn't need it. People were making a small fortune off it. They're giving it to dead people, and they give it to prisoners that were locked up. So there's irresponsibility there too. So maybe the pandemic was, a testing ground of the UBI. Maybe. Interesting. But I would say to use all, don't encourage it. Don't encourage UBI, because that means more taxes coming out of our pockets. so somebody can make an extra $1,200 or $1,400 a month to do nothing, absolutely nothing. No incentive to try, no incentive to go farther, no incentive whatsoever, right? I don't know. I don't know about you, but tell me what you think. CrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com. You can find all my information, my description, at your leisure. If you want to send me an email, please send me an email, write me a letter. All my contact information will be in there at your leisure. I mean, really, like more government reliance. Hasn't the government done enough to people in this country? Ask yourself that.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Anyway, we're back at episode 238 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. This Tuesday Rant with your host, yours truly, Crusty Canuck. That's me. That's right. Hello. Like I said, topics tonight: universal basic income, Libs and NDP canceling inquiry to SNC Lavalin, and of course, no more prayers. And this came from a story I read by Lauren Gunter there on the 17th. Now, apparently, there was something that was put forward, something that was promoted by the Chaplain General of the Canadian Armed Forces, and I will basically just read along on this here. It's kind of disappointing. Now, you've heard my rant and ramble about God and religion. I'm not going to sit here and try to insult anybody. I don't judge anyone if they're religious. I don't judge anybody if they're believe in this and believe in that. You know, I just don't believe church and state should mix. That's just my thing. Anyway, I'll just read along here, and I'll leave this link in my description for you all too. Gunter, we will always pray for those who have fought for us. Right, that's Lauren Gunter. This is dated the 17th of October, so last week. Let's see. So if you attend an official Remembrance Day ceremony next month at your local cenotaph or Royal Canadian Legion branch, you're in for a surprise that the Armed Forces chaplain presiding says a prayer. That's right. You should be shocked if an Army, Navy, or Air Force Padre says a prayer at Remembrance Day ceremony. According to an exclusive story from the online news service, the Epic Times, an October 11th memo sent to all armed forces chaplains by a Chaplain General Brigadier Guy instructs them to avoid religious prayers at all official functions. While the dimension of prayer may occupy a significant place for some of our members, we do not all pray in the same way, Belial explained. For some, prayer does not play a role in their lives. Therefore, it is essential for chaplains to adopt a tentative, that's the magic word, kids, tentative, inclusive approach when publicly addressing military members. So you're off to Remembrance Day Memorial. Don't expect to call on the Almighty to honor those who have fallen in defense of our country. References to having paid the ultimate price are probably okay, but I'll bet making the ultimate sacrifice is out. Sacrifice is so yuck. Religious. Ew. Why do our armed forces need chaplains at all if this is the case? Why not just hire a bunch of life coaches or companion animals? Without faith, a chaplain is just a nice person with a keen outfit and a pleasant demeanor. What I'm wondering, though, is why sensitivity and inclusivity work just one way. How about some sensitivity for those Canadians, especially veterans, whose spiritual lives include a little prayer? Why are there only the feelings of those who aren't prayerful important? I accept that we have probably fought our last war for God and country, and it's probably not wrong to no longer view out armed forces as defenders of faith as well as a nation. No. But as the old saying goes, there are no atheists in foxholes. And he's kind of right, because I remember praying on some of my missions too. I didn't pray to God or Jesus, but I prayed to whatever powers that be to look after my sorry ass. I have known dozens of military, police, fire, and other service chaplains from a variety of faiths, Jewish, Muslim, and Christian. The only trait they all shared to a person was a deep respect for faith of every member, regardless of what faith was. That included atheism, agnosticism, and general indifference. Even to be selected for Champlain services, candidates must go through a screening process that focus on their willingness to minister to the armed forces personnel from all faiths. Once selected, training includes basic rites of a variety of religions. Perhaps the Canadian Armed Forces needs more chaplains from non-Abrahamic religions, but that is a separate issue from commanding chaplains not to say prayers on Remembrance Day. Individual chaplains used to be judged by how well they administered to members of any and all faiths. The Islamic features at the multi-faith chapel I toured at CFP Suffield in southern Alberta had been a project of a Christian chaplain. Our armed forces have become obsessed with DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusivity. Last year, a panel looking into allegations of systemic racism in the forces recommended not hiring Catholic or evangelical Christian chaplains because Catholics won't let women be priests, and evangelicals supposedly have a problem with soldiers who adhere to polytheistic religions, faiths that have multiple gods. Oh, really? The panel found no evidence that Catholic or evangelical chaplains were denigrating any soldiers, sailors, or air personnel's faith, but they singled out Christian religious leaders for genocide against Indigenous students at residential schools and insisted some churches preached sexist notions. Religious freedom and the right to pray to God of one's choosing or not has been one of the values our soldiers have long fought for. Guess that doesn't count much for today's woke armed forces. Anyhow, I will leave this article in the description for you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, regardless of what happened in this country's history, I am so sick and tired of hearing about the past. Okay? Nobody that I know has encouraged that kind of behavior. Nobody in my life agrees with the residential school disgusting behavior. Nobody that I know of would agree with that kind of behavior. And we both know that it also comes to a lot of people in certain faiths back in the day and government officials that encourage that behavior too. So it's okay to have this faith. It's okay to have that faith, but not this faith. It's okay to associate with this. It's okay to associate with that, but not this. Okay? Respect all prayers, respect all faiths, all religions. That is what my brothers and sisters and I fought for. That is what my grandparents fought for in the Second World War. And other people that fought for that in Korea too. So the South Koreans can have their freedom against tyranny. So Europeans can have their freedom against tyranny. And now we have to worry about this woke mandates. Mr. Gunter nailed it on the head. It's okay to preach this and preach that, but you can't preach that because of history. Or you can't say this because of that. Right? Things are starting to cave in, ladies and gentlemen. And it's about time we do something about it. As an atheist, I will back up your right to preach and to pray to whatever God you feel fit, because that is your given right as far as I'm concerned. And it doesn't matter what this priest did 30 years ago, or this church did 40 years ago, or that mosque here, or this synagogue here. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay? Don't sit there and preach inclusivity and not include somebody. Don't sit there and preach equality when you don't want to give anybody the equal stand or the equal opportunity to do so. It's a contradiction. It's blatant fucking Marxism, and it's got to stop right now.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You're back to episode 238 of the Tuesday Rant with Crusty Canuck. Covered universal basic income, the Liberals and the NDP, of course, in cahoots and canceling the inquiry into more of the SNC, and no more prayers. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Pardon me for being a little bit winded there, but I am tired of these senior officials, these people who say they have such a great education and they're really in touch with the spiritual side of our lives when they don't want people to be spiritual. Okay. Now, what is this country turning into? One can speculate. We're getting too woke. I would agree with that too. Live and let live is what we should do, right? Agreeing to disagree and yet carrying on with your lives. Why is that so bloody hard? Why do we have such a hard time doing that in today's society? Why is that so difficult? Why? What are we trying to promote here? Why this constant division? So to anybody that's going out this Remembrance Day coming up, yours truly, I will be on parade. I'll be at ceremony with my buddies, having a few glasses, celebrating our brothers and our sisters that did give the ultimate sacrifice, whether it be to God or country or family. They lay down their lives for this country. Period. And that must be respected and must be remembered. Because Ask yourselves this, ladies and gentlemen, and to my American audience there too. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who have family and friends, or you're serving in the American services right now. And this November 11th, think about them too. To my American friends, we call November 11th Remembrance Day. You guys call them Veterans Day. It's still a day to remember and to honor the fallen. And regardless of what dirty war or what good war or what necessary evil that had to be committed to keep freedoms alive, you've got to honor the men and women that put their asses on the line to do it. It doesn't matter if there was a draft, doesn't matter if there was a conscription, doesn't matter if there was a call up. What matters is that people did it. And they must be remembered and respected, regardless of your personal feeling towards it or not. Right? And you really got to think long and hard. You really got to think long and hard. How would that benefit you if they didn't? Where would your life be if the Axis powers won in World War II? Where would life be if Red China took over the whole of Korea? Where would life be if people didn't die for a noble cause? That's all I'm going to say, especially when it comes to freedom. And it should be freedom to practice whatever faith you want. And it doesn't matter if it's God, Muhammad, Moses, Buddha, whatever the Sikh gods are, whatever the Hindi gods are, or whatever the lemon gods say when they're dancing with monkeys on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon in the sunshine. It doesn't fucking matter. Whatever your faith is, you have the right to promote your faith. And to any officer or any admin or any bureaucrat or elected politician out there that tells you we're not doing this anymore because of inclusivity, that's obviously a contradiction in terms, and they're obviously full of shit, and they can't be trusted. It's that simple. You do you, I do me, and we'll get along just fine. It's that simple, right? Anyhow, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 24th of October, 2023. I wish nothing but good things for you all out there. We had a bit of snow today, so keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful on those roads out there. If you like to hear and see, please remember, click like and subscribe. Click that little bell too to my people on YouTube there if you are subscribed. That way you know new episodes are coming your way. And don't hesitate to send a comment, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, especially my new Rumblers out there, my Rumble page. Thank you very much for some of the kind words I'm receiving. Keep those likes going. And share my stuff all over the place. Please keep Canadian content alive all around the world so people can check out some Canadian goodies and listen to other points of view and formulate decisions on their own, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I'm in Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 24th of October, 2023. Halloween's coming, so get your extra candies and your costumes ready and try to have some fun out there. And look after your friends and your loved ones. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. And take care, and I'll see you next Tuesday for another rant. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.